comprehensive plan and whether and the extent to which the proposed amendment is inconsistent with the existing proposed land uses. Okay. Now, under policy 1.8.1, downtown mixed use category provides for a wide range of uses, including retail, commercial, residential, restaurant, etc. Okay. Now, the rezoning provides for a transition between the mixed use corridor and the single family residence by creating a separation between the uses according to section 31536A3B1 of the city zoning code. Such a use, such as a parking lot, is permitted on a secondary street, such as East 22nd Court, has a principal or accessory use. In this instance, this would be an accessory use, okay, because it will be serving the parking. It will be serving the property on 2230 Broadway, the Bordellands Warehouse. Okay, if I could, I want to make a couple of things, a couple of points, real quick. The subject property here, okay, that property is an existing parking area by the applicant. Okay, back on and pardon me, indulge me a little bit here. I'm just talking about the use right now for the subject property right here. Back on May 28th of 2019, the Development Services staff, which was before my time and before Mr. Sermon's time, gave approval on an administrative site plan for this subject property. Okay, and it was approved under by the department. The person who signed it was Mr. Ledger, who was senior planner at that time. The intent here was to is to confirm that the following amendments to the aforementioned subject property have been administratively approved. The city's records do not indicate any prior site plan nor special exception approval of the property. Thus, a site plan was provided consistent with the existing built environment of the property and approved through this administrative process in order for the city to maintain a record of an approved site plan and memorialize current conditions of the property as shown on the site plan. And I have a copy of the site plan here that was along with this letter, which approved that site plan back in 2019.
Just pass it around to the, excuse me, pass it around to the board members. Start with Ms. Shepherd, please.
This is the only copy that I have. So
I am sure Mr. Brown will give it right back to you.
Mr. Chair, allow me to go last, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you a moment or two to look at that, Mr. Chairman. So the use and on this property was administratively approved through that site plan document that you have there. Okay. And so the rezoning now is to rezone all of this to downtown core, which would then allow this as an accessory use in the zoning in the zoning district. Because right now the department is trying to take with the city, take a look at properties such as this and try to, with a land use that is downtown mixed use for both properties, try to develop a zoning district that is in sync and compatible with the land use. And in this instance, the applicant wants to do downtown core for both these parcels, okay, to make that sync up or in sync or compatible with the land use, which is downtown mixed use. the downtown mixed use future land use map is the comprehensive plan in a geographical format. Okay? So whenever you look at the future land use map, you're looking at the comprehensive plan. So I want to make that really clear.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Thomas, why did you just have one copy of that? Why did you have just one copy of this?
Well,
Why one copy? Why would we not get a
well,
copy of it?
I didn't have the time to be very honest with you, Mr. Shepherd, and so if necessary, I can leave that with you with everyone. I just didn't have the chance to do that, being that I work on a part-time basis and I try to get everything done with the existing staff and myself. I simply, ma'am, I'm gonna be very honest with you.
Mr.
Just didn't
Chair,
have the time to be able to
Yes, Mr.
print it
Chairman.
all out.
Mr. Chair, if I may, sorry, Mr. Thompson, I did want to add some context. The item before you right now is rezoning, so it is not technically related to a site plan
Right.
or future site plan. So that is
Right.
not necessarily germane to the decision before you. The question is it appropriate to rezone those two properties to the new zoning district and
Right.
all of the allowed uses that are allowed in that zoning district that the applicant is requesting? So the site plan and past site plans aren't necessarily essential to that question. So because of that reason, we didn't prepare a full packet of it for the entire board, but it was on hand for reference.
So if it is approved, then they'll come back to your unit, to your section, with a site plan as to what they plan on using the site for. Am I correct?
That's correct. They would amend the site plan that was just referenced.
See, Mr.
Chair,
see, Mr.
excuse
Chairman,
me.
with the
Mr. Chair, excuse me.
Got this, Chair.
So why bring it up? Why give us a piece of paper to look at? I have no idea what he's talking about. I would have never brought that paper up. Never.
And I apologize for that. The intention of staff was not to create confusion with that. So that is noted and we'll make sure we are more clear in the future. I apologize on that.
I apologize, but the idea is to try to clear the air and make it clear what is going on with the property here and not try to hide or conceal anything.
No, we understand that, but that's a 2019, and it was an administrative approval. It
Yes,
didn't go
sir.
before the board. No, nothing was requested. So it was just,
Correct. If it was
whatever they
approved-
did in 2019, that's great.
Right, yes,
I
sir.
appreciate it.
Yeah, so you see, and that's what I'm trying, and that's,
Excuse me. Not to confuse me. You have the public out here that you're confusing, that you brought up a piece of paper that they can technically say what was in the paper, what's in the document. We don't know. Surely they don't know. I'd have never brought that up.
well, the document, again, Ms. Sherford, we have the document, that letter and that site plan. And so I felt it was not right for me not to bring it up when I have it and in my possession and it's a part of the public record. So I apologize for confusing the board. It was just my attempt to try to be as forthcoming as possible. So I apologize to the board. So I'm going to move forward with this presentation so I can get through it. Okay, so as I said at the 2 points here about the staff analysis, the downtown mixed use category, I've explained that, and then I've explained the rezoning provides for a transition between the mixed use corridor and the single family residential district. Now, and according in the comp plan under objective 1.2 redevelopment policy 1.2.21, the Broadway corridor is intended to reestablish the area as a pedestrian friendly main street, storefronts lining the street, and interconnected parking in the rear, particularly an interconnected parking in the rear, which is the subject of this application. The applicant is proposing to use the rear parcels as interconnecting parking for its commercial use along Broadway. In addition, according to the future land use map, the subject property has a downtown mixed use land use classification which allows commercial uses such as accessory parking lots. And then in addition, a portion of objective 1.3 in the future land use element of the comp plan indicates that the city shall continue to take and support actions which reduces uses which are inconsistent or incompatible with the future land use map. Although the land use designation for the applicant's request is downtown mixed use, the single family residential zoning district is not in sync with the existing use of the subject property. Therefore, thus, the implementation of this rezoning request will replace an incompatible zoning designation with a compatible zoning designation that will permit an accessory parking area. The proposed rezoning shall be consistent with the existing downtown mixed-use land use classification. The current zoning district of the property does not allow for an accessory parking area. Uh, this hearing was properly noticed according to state law and city regulations. What you see there is the radius map that the applicant used to show properties within a 300-foot radius of the subject property. And staff received 3 communications from the community regarding this project, 3 in support, none in opposition. And staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Board recommend approval to the City Council of the application based upon the following findings of fact. The proposal is consistent with the future land use element of the comp plan. The proposed amendment is consistent with existing and proposed land uses. And lastly, the Planning and Zoning Board review and we recommend to the council to approve the proposed rezoning request. Staff recommends that the city council approve this request with the condition that the applicant must submit and complete a site plan amendment application to include the newly acquired property and newly rezoned property if that occurs. And that concludes staff's presentation. I will say Miss Lisa Rivas is the attorney for the applicant. She's here to make a presentation, and she has loaded up her presentation on the system, and I would like to have her to make a presentation on behalf of the applicant.
I just have a question for you. On the paperwork received, you have RS8 to downtown core DC. On your slides, you have RS8 to DMU.
Okay, so let's go back real quick.
There you go. DMU, RS8. On the paperwork that we have is downtown core, DC.
Which one? Which?
DC, downtown core, DMU, which is correct. The one on the agenda or the one on the presentation? Are you going from RS8 to DMU or DC?
We're going from RS8 to
RS8.
DC. That's the zone. The DMU is the future land use.
Okay.
Okay. The future land use is the land use that implements the comprehensive plan. That's the downtown mixed use. The zoning is from RS8 to downtown core DC,
Which is what they're
the
going for
zoning
tonight,
district.
correct?
Excuse me?
Thank you.
Yes. They're going from RS8 to downtown core to DC. Sorry for the confusion.
No problem. Just asking. For the record, just please identify yourself and your relationship to the project. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman, board members. I'm Lisa Revis of Becker and Polyakoff. I represent Second Avenue Properties. I'd like to thank Mr. Thompson for his efforts in this matter. It was a pleasure working with him. Our application seeks to rezone 30 East 22nd Court. And as a housekeeping item, staff has requested that we rezone the existing parking lot. And the reason for that is it's approved as a parking lot, but it doesn't have the correct zoning. That's why the site plan came up. We're rezoning both parcels from RS8 to downtown core to allow for the expansion of the parking lot at Boat Owners Warehouse. The subject site is 1/10 of an acre, again located at 30 East 22nd Court, adjacent to Boat Owners Warehouse existing parking lot, and is in the RS8 zoning district. The existing parking lot is approximately 0.1466 acres. This property has been owned and operated by the current property owner continuously since 1996. And the current parking lot is included on the approved site plan. That's why this is a housekeeping item to rezone this lot. The rezoning complies with the review criteria as it is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan and provides a harmonious transition between the mixed-use corridor and a single-family residential district by creating a larger separation between the residential and the commercial uses. The changed condition which require the amendment is the insufficient parking and the availability of the adjacent lot. When it came on the market, it was purchased by the landowner to correct the parking inadequacies. The proposed amendment is consistent with the existing and proposed land uses, as all the property in the general vicinity has a future land use of downtown mixed use. The expansion of the parking lot will not impact public facilities. Since the subject parcel is vacant with no vegetation, the amendment will not adversely impact the natural environment. The expansion of the parking lot will not adversely affect property values in the surrounding area. The amendment creates an orderly and logical development pattern that complies with the policies of the city's comprehensive plan. We have had some public comment on this application. One of those comments was regarding drainage. There were some concerns about drainage. We have existing catch basins on site to collect and drain runoff from our site. Another public comment had to do with parking in the right-of-way. That comment is related to East 23rd Street, which is north of our site. That is Palm Beach Outboards. We're directly to the south of them, Boat Owners Warehouse. Palm Beach Outboards is owned by Billet Investments Incorporated of Lake Park, Florida, and their property is located at 2240 Broadway. Our site is owned by Second Avenue Properties of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. There is no connection between these two entities. We have no ownership nor control over our neighbor to the north that's parking in the right-of-way. We respectfully request approval of our zoning amendment application, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
So right now you're using one of those lots as a parking area, am I correct?
It is approved as a parking lot, yes.
And now you plan on using the second lot also as parking?
To expand the existing parking, as you saw in the photos, our parking is inadequate. It was approved with 10 sites.
So Mr. Sermons, they are planning on using those two lots for a specific purpose, which is parking lots.
That is correct.
Okay, have they submitted plans to see if they're going to be using permeable material to help with the drainage in the area as far as what they're going to build on those properties and how they're going to build it?
There is no site plan application submitted yet from the applicant. In this situation, the applicant was allowed to proceed with just the rezoning. There was some reticence from the ownership about the second phase of it. So they were allowed to proceed to see if council would allow them to rezone the property. And if so, the condition would be that they amend the site plan to include the newly acquired property.
Okay, so are they going to be prohibited from using those lots as parking until they submit the plans after city council approves it and they submit the plans to your to your section?
Code compliance initially cited this property because all of the paperwork was not in place. So this was initiated because staff brought it to everyone's attention, including the owner, and they initiated the rezoning process, which would allow them to amend the site plan.
So if we approve the change from RSA to, from residential to DC, it doesn't necessarily give them the right to start parking on those two lots. Am I correct?
Not necessarily, but it would make any site plan applications approvable, being that the zoning is in place for the site plan to move forward.
Yes, but my point is, they can't do anything with those two lots until they come back through the approval process for the site.
That is correct. I would,
I know.
If I may.
They're already parking there, so
I would
If I
only
may.
add that generally in our code compliance process, they are given a certain time period to bring the property in compliance. And when a rezoning is required to bring a property into compliance, we generally give them more time to deal with the matter. And in some situations, rezoning can take months. So until that time, we haven't taken more or stronger action against the property owner to allow them to go through the process. So as of now, we have not shut down any parts of the business, but as long as they continue in good faith, we have not become more punitive in terms of the code compliance process.
when they do come in with the site plans, you know, we've had different developers here, and they came up with that permeable surface to ease any drainage issues. And Mike, could you please make sure when they come up with that, you address it with them, see if they're amenable to using that kind of substance?
When it comes to drainage, we make sure that the city engineer who is licensed to deal with those issues and calculations and making sure that there are no adverse impacts, we make sure that he put his signature on any proposed drainage plans and pervious and impervious plans for the property. And once he gives us the okay that it's certified, then we would allow the project to move forward. So although we have some input, we make sure the city engineer makes the final decision on whether what they have proposed is appropriate.
Well, with those permeable surface, just the water just somehow sips through it and goes right into the aquifer or whatever it's.
Yes, there is a calculation ratio that's given to permeable pavers versus grass versus concrete. So that is a part of the equation that he utilizes before approving or denying any proposals. But that is widely utilized in the city, and I'm sure it is on the table for this project if and when it gets there.
Okay, let's finish up with questions from the board, and then we'll open up to the public comment on this topic only. Ms. Shepherd, you wanted to go last, am I correct?
Why don't you let the members of the public talk first?
That's
so
fine.
we can get an idea of
Okay.
what I like to know what they're thinking.
If I may address
Yes,
your
ma'am.
comment about the parking, if you look on the screen, you'll see the paved parking. We're approved to use that parking. The only area that is not approved for parking is the unpaved area. Just to clarify.
Thank you for clarifying.
Mhm.
Mr. David, can you call public comment cards on this topic?
Constantine, Pauls, Paves, Pauls. Thank you.
For the record, please state your name and your address and your interest.
Sure, my name is Konstantin Pavlovs. My address is 1815 South Olive, West Palm Beach. And first, thanks for letting me speak. Second, I'm not here to disapprove this or to go against this plan. I think a parking lot's a good idea. I own the property, the house just east of where they want to build the parking lot. I've owned that house for at least 15 years. And what happened with the lot that they want to build on, there was a house there. And what they did, they knocked the house down. I was informed by my tenant that they're going to pave it. So I called the town up and they sent the inspector out. And they were gonna pave it, but they stopped them because they didn't have the right permits to write everything. What they did do was bring in about 1.5 to 2 feet of earth. Okay, on the say, the two corners there, one's on the northwest and the other's on the northeast. There used to be a fence that came across the parking lot, the want-to-be parking lot, which now you can't even open, not even a little bit, where before it was flush. So I'm really, really concerned about the flooding. And that's why the inspector back then stopped the project, because his mother went through something similar to that, and it ruined her yard as far as the flooding goes. So I'm real concerned because that's a lot of land they brought in, and it's a lot higher than my lot now. But right now, all the water is sucking down because it's not paved. If it was paved, it'd be just a mess. Like I said, they're wonderful people. I like the owners, the management. You know, I'm not here to stop it, but I'm really concerned about the flooding. I don't want another wall neither. I've heard that a lot of parking lots, they put walls up. I'm gonna have one wall in front of me from Viking, another wall here. So I want to try to stay away from a wall, bring in some nice vegetation, whatever that might be. And this third thing is the lighting. If they're gonna put up any lighting, I don't really want it facing the house, you know, coming through the windows, or just make them real dim lights. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I ask, what is the address of the house that you're talking about?
The one I live in is, or the one I own is 38 East 22nd Court,
38?
East 22nd Court. It touches the property they want to build a parking lot on. And there used to be a house there, like I said, but they knocked it down, which is no problem, but they brought in so much earth that the property stands up about 1.5 to 2 feet higher than what it was.
Thank
So-
you. That's all I want to know, the address,
Sir.
sir. Thank you.
Sir, Miss, can you, if they come up and speak, could you do me a favor? Just take the notes down. I know Ms., the representative for the owner is also here, so that when it comes up for site plan, drainage issue, as you well know, in that area, we've had problems before. So mentioned by, other owners in the area. So let's please address the height that they plan on doing and the runoff from the property, the lights. Just keep it in mind and write the notes down for when the permits do come across.
Yes,
So
Mr.
the
Chair, we are
height-
Thank
taking
you.
those.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else, ma'am?
Brandy Davis Balsamo.
Evening, everyone. My name is Brandy Davis Balsamo. I live at 217 East 23rd Street in the neighborhood. And I'm here because I'm also the founder and president of a neighborhood association that encompasses Lakeview Park, but also the entire downtown corridor. And that is called LANA. This is a new nonprofit neighborhood association that represents from Avenue E to the Intercoastal, between 12th Street all the way to Silver Beach. So, excuse me. So Lana, what does it do? Well, we represent residents, we represent owners, we represent businesses, and we help to make sure the communication is circulating about these meetings and what's going on in the area. We're also there to educate and inform and to advocate on key initiatives. And lastly, to serve as a support system for the city as a partner to help on some areas where the city really doesn't have a place to play in enhancing and creating community within our area. So as it pertains to this zoning request, we were surprised to know that there was a land use violation for essentially a decade. That's pretty surprising, but it's actually not that uncommon in our area. It's another reason why we need more support, like our organization, to ensure that this is improving, and it is. And so I'd like to say, the argument that's made for the rezoning seems sound. There's insufficient parking. Yes, that's obvious. The building takes up the entire lot. Where else are you going to put the parking unless you tear down the building and put the parking underneath? That the the other argument that was made is that it aligns with the future land use plan. That is correct. So we're not against this request. I just would say that we do really request that the concerns that the abutting neighbor has are addressed when this comes back up. So, oh, and I'd also like to echo Gus's comments that Boat Owners Warehouse has been a great neighbor. I shop there myself, and we don't have any complaints about them. They've actually been a really great business in the neighborhood, besides this little snafu. Thank you.
Glad to hear. Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else?
Mr. Mike Mahoney? That's it, Mr. Chair, item 7A.
Chuck, you still want to go last?
Yes, if I can.
Yeah.
You've asked all the questions and I've gotten my answers already, so no problem. Yeah, I'm good.
Well,
No question.
Burgess? No question. Mr. Brown?
No additional question, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Sermon, can I go back to the flooding in that area and the cars? I do see the cars there quite often. Is there a drainage problem? I heard you speak about the engineer being out there. Has anyone really made any complaints?
I'm sorry, Madam Board Member, I would not be able to comment on that from an educated point on the record because Public Works and the city engineer handles the drainage systems of the city as well as evaluating any proposed drainage systems of future or a proposed development. So I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to speak from a very educated point on that. I do know that in projects that have come through previously, drainage has been discussions there, but any proposed developers have worked with our city engineers and have been able to demonstrate to his satisfaction that they can develop without causing increased drainage issues by their proposed projects. And I hope that answers your question, but I can't get too specific in terms of what they're experiencing with maintaining the city's drainage systems.
So you don't know whether there's a drainage problem over there? They haven't come to your office and said anything about the drainage over there?
I only know what I have heard stated by residents from comments and during public meetings. That does not mean that our Public Works Department agrees with what has been said because they often send trucks out after storms, take photos and document drainage issues across the city. So I can't say that their opinion concurs with anything that we've received in the way of complaints.
So why haven't we received, if they're taking, because I've seen them over there, so I know Public Works is there. If they were taking pictures, which I have seen them take the pictures, why were we not privy to the pictures? I mean, this is going into a resolution, and to protect them, I guess we should make a documented decision that there is a problem and have them address this problem openly before it gets to city council. And I'm saying that because in that area, I live there, so I know it's a problem right there. And I think to put them at ease, was there any photos taken to give this board the opportunity to know? Does it make a difference? I guess that's what I'm saying. What we say about the drainage, or I don't know what I'm fishing for, Mr. Sherman. I just think we should be aware of a lot of things going on. If they haven't seen the drainage problem, how do they make a documented decision? I'm there, so I can tell you what's going on. And I just don't think it's right that we don't have all the documentation of what's going on.
Yes, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
The review criteria for a rezoning does some give some contemplation of the availability of public facilities such as drainage. However, it's not specific because for just the rezoning, there's not a proposed project that you're considering. You're looking at the land and whether the uses in that zoning district are appropriate for it. If it was a site plan that was before you, um, the applicant would be required to prove that they can make the drainage work for that site in a way that would not adversely affect neighbors. So generally speaking, for a zone change application, those calculations and drainage reports are not a part of it because they're not at that level of detail of development. It's not about paving or a specific building. This application is asking of you, is this zoning district appropriate for this property? And if it is approved, then any of the uses allowed there can be developed, and depending on what use they choose, it could be developed differently. So the attention to drainage at this stage is very, very high level. And we have included that in the staff report, in the staff review areas and the responses. But again, they are not, we're not reviewing a specific development to look at specific drainage problems and specific drainage calculations. I can get with our Public Works Department and ask them to send us the data that they have for this area of the city and provide that to the board. But generally, as a part of the review for a zone change, that's not backup that is always included because it's not a specific drainage situation, more so the use is allowed.
Mr. Chair, one more question. You said something about it's not a higher level.
That this is a higher level review, not like ground level specific, where are your outfalls, where's your drainage pipes, how's your parking lot draining. This is just the zoning of the land and what uses are allowed. So because we're not at that level of detail, there's limited in-depth review for drainage that typically takes place for the rezone application.
Mr. Chair, so what you're saying, Mr. Sherman, is that we're here just to approve this,
Zoning change.
yes, zoning change. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And we're going to have this question mark now because we don't know, or you all don't know, if there's a drainage problem. They know it's a drainage problem. I know it's a drainage problem. So now we're here with no data. We have no idea. They might because they're there. The board doesn't, but there's a drainage problem. But you're asking us to approve this with the question marks of the near future, I assume.
So we do, if I'm not mistaken, we do have our city engineer review zone change applications as well. I can double check that, but if there's significant unreadiness because of comments about drainage, what we can do is table this to a later meeting so we can get you more information to make sure the board is comfortable before they take any votes on the item.
I would, until we get the data back, or you all get the data back, because I know for a fact there is a drainage problem over there. I don't want to put my name on anything, and I know it's a problem there.
Mr. Sermons, we don't have a site plan specific yet which addresses the drainage issues like any other project. So in other words, when they do come up with a site plan, the engineer will be there and they will address any drainage issue with the developer to ensure that they mitigate. Just like when Safe Harbor came up here with their presentation, they offered on their dime to mediate any drainage issues in the area.
If I may, Mr.
Yes,
Speaker, clearly, if this is a rezoning to rezone the property, okay, that's it. When, and in the staff report, we talk about a condition where they submit a building permit for a site plan approval. A part of that site plan approval process is an engineering review, which involves drainage. And part of that site plan review, the applicant will submit what materials they will use for the parking lot, for that particular parking area that's gravel, to determine and to make sure what material would drain properly. Part of the permit review process is not just a zoning review on a building permit, it's also engineering, public works, etc. Mr. Bailey was an engineer in our department, in our city. We would review that to ensure that the site plan that's submitted for building permit meets all city regulations. Otherwise, they won't get a permit to finish the parking lot in such a way that the water runoff will not adversely impact any adjacent properties.
Mr.
Could,
Chair.
could
Mr.
that
Chair.
site plan also include the drainage issues that were observed by the city and also the steps taken to mitigate it?
Well, as Mr. Sherman has said, when you apply for a site plan, you submit a drainage plan showing coefficients and show what we call in planning, what I call squiggly lines to show where the water is draining to. And the parking area, when it goes through a permitting process, is sloped a certain way so that the water will drain either toward a catch basin or existing one, or they can create a catch basin, a French drain. I'm sure you're familiar with a French drainage system, where you create a drainage system. Basically, it's like a drainage, for lack of a better word, a indentation or a hole into the soil, into the ground, and every so many months or years, it's cleaned out, has water is drained into that French drainage system. That's one method of drainage that could be used for this parking lot if if you all approve it and if the city council approves it and it goes to a building permit process. But I don't want to step into Mr. Bailey's bailiwick because that's his thing. But I can tell you that a part of the building permit review process for this area, it will go through a thorough engineering review, which involves drainage.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Thomas, that's all good. I think though that out of respect for us, that a report should have been documented into the papers that we got. There is nothing that will address the drainage system. We all know, at least I know it's there. And I think for them, they need to know there is a drainage system. I have nothing against this project, but I think out of courteous to us or them, that we would have the complete idea that there's a problem there. To give them the permit, they can come back and they can say almost anything. If there's a drainage problem, the engineer needs to either be here or send in his report to give me comfort to know that there's a drainage problem and it shall be addressed. It should be addressed.
Mr. Sermon, based on your comments, this is just, again, a zoning change, nothing to do with what's going to go on the property. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I understand. Don't undermine what I'm saying.
I understand that. So we can decide as a board whether we want to table it or we proceed with the zoning change and then wait for the permit application to come through to address the drainage. Would that be amenable?
Why would you pull a cart before the horse? Don't you think we should have the evidence, something is really going over there before we start saying, hey, yeah, this is the thing that we make a lot of mistakes on. We do not take time to do our due diligence. And it's up to us to stop this rhetoric of knowing we know, well, I know something's going on over there.
Mr. Sermons, can we get an engineering report for our next meeting on the drainage issue in that area and how it could be addressed if they're going to build the parking? Can we get it by our next meeting so we can move on with this?
And before I respond, let me make sure I understand the request. Would it be a request from engineering and public works to understand if that area of the city, that neighborhood has a drainage problem, or if this particular lot would be able to satisfy drainage requirements?
I would like to see the lot.
This individual
The
lot?
lot.
Okay.
So that you don't have to do the whole thing, the lot in that area to satisfy the residents that this particular area, which is a drainage problem, need to be addressed ASAP. And I think it's only fair that we used to get the fire department, the police, and blah, blah, blah. I notice we don't get that anymore. Maybe I'm not reading into it, Mr. Sherman. Maybe I'm not. But I think in this area, it needs to be openly addressed because it is, to me, a low-lying area. And when it rains, especially on that property, it flood out. And I don't think it's fair to the residents. They have to go through this water. Now, if they build that parking lot, in which I'm not opposed to it, let me be clear on that. I think that you should take proper precaution because now that area is being built up with the boat yards, biking, XYZ, and that area is a lot of activity. When we go through, I know 23rd Street, I'm going through the water. And I think we should stop right now and get an idea of what we're voting on. I could abstain from it. I don't have to vote on it. I'm just giving you my opinion.
When we put this to a vote, Ms. Shepherd, if we carry on the vote and we don't have enough votes to approve the rezoning, then we'll just table it for the next meeting. Is the board amenable to that?
Is there a motion?
Do I have a motion to accept the zoning as read into the record by Ms. Davidson from rezoning amendment application ZA 230010?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Ms. Davidson.
Excuse me, what are we voting on? Maybe I'm lost.
We're voting on whether to proceed with the rezoning of the application ZA 230010.
Which is the item as read into the record, correct?
The one you read into the record, correct,
you.
Ms. Davidson?
And Mr. Chair, if I may, I just want to make sure that we're doing everything procedurally correctly. So the motion, to clarify, was a motion to approve the item that's on the agenda as read. Is that accurate?
That's read into the record. That is
Okay.
correct. That is accurate.
Thank you for the clarification. And then I'll also point out that to the extent that there is no actual conflict of interest under the Sunshine Law, each board member does have to vote, whether that be a yes or no, but there's no ability to properly abstain under the Sunshine Law at this point in time unless there is a specific conflict of interest.
Thank you, Ms.
Mr. Chair, to the attorney, I'm feeling very uncomfortable with this situation. And since I live there, I just feel very uncomfortable that I have to concede to something that I have question marks about. And I do have a question mark about it. And it's because I see it. I'm very aware of what's going on. And until I get the reports from the engineer, I just will not feel comfortable not knowing the details of what's going on. I don't mind. I don't mind the parking lot, but I think that we should be given the opportunity to know 100% just what's going on in the area. So therefore, I feel like I need to abstain until I get the full confidence of the report of what's really going on.
So again, this would have to be a conflict as stated and reported in Form 8B in order to ensure compliance with Chapter 286 Florida statutes. So I just want to come back to procedure and just make sure that we're clear. So if you'd like to fill out a form, you may, but I think to do it correctly under that statute, there should be a yes or no vote.
Thank you. Can we proceed with the vote, Ms. Davidson?
Anthony Brown,
Yes.
Renee Burgess,
No.
James Gallen,
Yes.
Margaret Shepherd,
No?
William Wiley,
No.
Frank Fernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, we have 3 yeses and 3 nos.
Then the next thing will be, do I have a motion to table it until the next meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Anthony Brown,
Yes.
Renee Burgess,
Yes.
James Gallen,
Yes.
Margaret Shepherd,
Yes.
William Wiley,
Yes.
Frank Fernandez.
Yes,
Unanimous vote.
thank you.
Chair,
Yes.
when this comes back, Mr. Sherman, can we make sure that we know what they're planning on putting on this lot? If it's gonna be a parking lot, can it be stipulated in here that it's gonna be a parking lot? And also, when it comes back for permitting, is there any way that we can have someone from the utilities department, whether it's Mr. Bailey or whoever, be at that meeting that will be able to give us more information?
Basically address the drainage issues that the Shepherd brought up.
Yes, so I believe I understand. So when this comes back, you would like at minimum an opinion from the city engineer that it is appropriate in terms of drainage infrastructure to rezone this to downtown core.
When it comes back for the site plan also, I would like to see his face.
So when you would like the site plan to come before this board along with the zoning and for the city engineer to be present to discuss drainage?
Yes, if we could do both at the same time, I have no issues with that, and I don't think the board would have any issues with that we do both if we can.
I am noting that now. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Mr. Chair, and on paper, I would like to see it on paper, not just him coming here saying, because he does know how to rattle off things, and I want it on black and white if I
It'll
can.
be part of the package, am I correct?
I want to make sure it's there because they'll say, they forgot it or.
So what this
Well,
will,
if they forget it, then we'll table it again.
so.
No, excuse me, Mr. Chair. I think they want to move forward. I don't want to hold the project up any further because I think it's a good project. But for safety reasons, to put them at ease, I think it should be knowledgeable what's really going on. And let us not think about, or I thought it happened, or it should have happened. It needs to be in black and white. That's all I'm saying.
So to clarify our next steps, what staff will do from here is instruct the applicant to submit a site plan application. It'll be a brand new application starting from beginning. So it may be several months before we go through the full site plan review process with all divisions such as engineering, fire, zoning, and everyone who is applicable to the site plan review process. So when that is ready for has satisfied all comments, we would bring that as well as the zone change application before this board so you could opine on both. And Mr. Chair, I believe the applicant would like to respond to the discussion.
A site plan is not a requirement for an application for rezoning. We're not required to do that.
Correct. What about an engineering study for the area's drainage area for that property? Would that be allowed to be requested before we approve the rezoning?
I would have to defer to the city engineer as to how much he can speak to only a rezoning application. Again, if they have not drafted a drainage report and the calculations, he's probably going to be limited in how much he can say. During the site plan process is when an applicant is required to hire an engineer, draft the calculations for the pervious and impervious areas, and provide that report to the city engineer, which he would evaluate and approve. So site plan and permitting process is when that takes place. So again, our zoning code does not require a site plan in order to approve a rezoning. It is not a requirement. The applicant is correct in that respect. If the board is requesting that, staff can move forward as best as possible, but the applicant has stated their stance on the request, as you just heard.
Could we at least get the city engineer out there to review the drainage for that property and report back to us? Is that too much to ask? And I think we can ask that before we approve a rezoning. Take a look at the property, look at the drainage issue in that area, and then provide his opinion, or her, whoever goes out there, as to whether the drainage will be an issue with the rezoning.
Mr. Chair, I don't want to belabor the point because I know that all of the board members fully understand what it is that you're considering. What I'm hearing is a desire for context, for larger context, as far as how the proposed rezoning affects the subject property and surrounding properties. At the end of the day, when it comes time to make a decision, though, what you're looking at is going to be your criteria for, at the end of the day, will be a little bit more general in terms of, does the change in zoning from A to B, is that consistent with the comprehensive plan? And is it going to have negative impacts? So you're really looking at the current zoning, and then how the change to the proposed, is it DC? DC, how the change to the proposed DC zoning is going to affect the property. And
But a negative impact could also be interpreted as a drainage issue.
yes, sir. So you're going to want to look at context in terms of, but Mr. Sermons is spot on that it's a higher level review. If and when the applicant does submit an application for site plan, all of those questions that are being asked are 100% relevant and appropriate at that point in time. So it's just where we are procedurally that we just want to make sure that we don't lose sight of that.
Mr. Chair, can you repeat what you just said? You just said something, I wasn't clear on what you said.
I said we're not required to submit a site plan for a rezoning application.
Says who?
Your code.
Okay, so our code says, okay, you're here in the city of Riviera Beach, and at least I'm here to protect my city. You don't come in here and tell us what we can and cannot do. I asked a question, I'm in that neighborhood, I want to answer. So it's tabled, so we can move on. And you could smile because it's not funny to me, not at all.
Can we move on?
Yes, let's move on.
Be into the record, please, so we can move on with the new business.
Item 7B, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving a site plan application SB 230007 from St. Mark's Church, Inc., to develop a new 9,215 square foot, two-story building on approximately plus minus 0.63 acres of land, plus minus 27,246.25 square feet, located at 21 West 22nd Street, PCN 5643422824003090, providing for conditions of approval, providing for an effective date, and for other purposes.
Thank you.
All right, good evening again, Mr. Chair. For the record, I am Clarence Sermons, Director of Development Services for the City of Riviera Beach. I will give this presentation on behalf of city staff, and the applicant is present and prepared to present afterwards and address any questions that the board may have. On the screen before you is a aerial map of the city. The red dot indicates the location of the proposed project. Before you now is a closer view of the project location, and in red you can see the parcel that is subject to the request before you. The applicant is requesting approval of a site plan and plat to replace the existing St. George's Church facility with a new 9,215 square foot, two-story building called the Hearts of Palm Center at 21 West 22nd Street. Currently at the site, an existing former church/community center building and daycare exists. The parcel ID has already been read into the record. The lot is approximately 0.63 acres, and the zoning currently is downtown core with the future land use designation of downtown mixed use. Before you on the screen is the proposed site plan of the property, main access from West 22nd Street. The proposed structure would be here and parking to the rear. Before you now is the proposed landscape plan on the property, and staff has reviewed it and it is consistent with the city's landscape code. The primary elevation of the proposed development is on the screen now. And all elevations north, south, east, and west. Staff has extensively reviewed the proposed development of the project as well as reviewed it with our legal support. It is found to be consistent with our regulations, and those review rounds include comparison with the city's future land use plan, the zoning code. We've evaluated levels of service, and they are adequate for the property, compatibility with neighboring uses, landscaping, lighting, parking, and traffic. According to section 31-57 and section 31-62 of the city zoning code, the purpose of site plan review shall be to, 1, ascertain if the proposed new development is in conformity with the comprehensive plan. 2, is not detrimental to the neighboring land use. 3, that an efficient pedestrian and vehicular traffic system, including proper means of ingress and egress to the streets, is provided for. And 4, that the proposed project shall be a viable addition to the community. Staff has reviewed this project against this criteria, and we do believe that is proper to approve. All required public notices for this project have been completed. And finally, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Board approve this application with the recommended conditions in your report. If there are no questions related to the staff review, I will yield the floor so that the applicant may present.
Good evening. For the record, Donaldson Hearing with Kotler and Hearing Landscape Architects and Planners, here on behalf of St. Mark's and representing the Hearts of Palms Center project for you today. The project before you is all about being a part of the city of Riviera Beach. We have our project team here. We have two requests tonight, as Clarence and so artfully had pointed out, the site plan, but we also have a plat approval, preliminary plat that's being reviewed by your staff. And that's just to consolidate the old historic lots and create the proper easements that are in place. I am pleased to tell you that our entire team is here, just in case you have any questions. We have our civil engineers, our architects, and our legal counsel, Ms. Caitlin Guerin with Gunster, and many representatives from the applicant, and Father Cook with St. Mark's, who will say a few words here as we start our presentation. So as you're aware, the project is located just south of 22nd and west of Broadway. It's 0.63 acres. So before I start going through the details, I would like to ask Father Cook to come up and just say a few words about their vision and what St. Mark's has been doing in the community for several years. Father?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be in front of you all. So I'm at St. Mark's, which is up in Palm Beach Gardens, has had a relationship with St. George's Church and Community Center for years. As many of us know, St. George's has been in downtown since I think the 30s and 40s, and actually gave birth to St. Mark's Church back in the 60s. And since that time, our congregations, as well as other Episcopal congregations in the area, have always maintained pretty close ties to St. George's, especially I guess it was maybe in the mid 90s when the congregation began to serve food, meals to folks within the community. And that's kind of how it's become known. And all, 25 different churches, community organizations, businesses serve meals at St. George's every evening and provide the meals and come in and serve the meals in that facility. I've been the rector there, so the chief priest at St. Mark's for about 17 years. So came over, and my congregation every Thursday night makes meatloaf and mashed potatoes and green beans, and serves about 150 meals or so with youth groups and members of the parish who come over and do the work. And over those years, as the leader, you see that there were things going on that caused concern for all of us. For me, in particular, as the leader of St. Mark's, we thought security issues. We thought there were issues around the building use, the cleanliness of the building, kind of how things were maintained, the sustainability of the program. It was kind of a threadbare sort of system that, by a lot of hard work by individuals and volunteers, many people were fed, but always kind of turning a blind eye to things that you would see that could be better. And what kind of broke the back of the vestry, which is a board of directors at an Episcopal church, was the night in March of 2019 when Franklin Killens was shot and killed right on 23rd, waiting to get in to eat. And there was a scuffle out there, and another woman was hurt. And at that point, St. Mark's and our vestry just said, either we got to do something to help that place and to be part of it, or we're gonna pull out, because we just see too many issues. The same time that's what's happening, starting back in about 2011 or so, our parish established a ministry called Hearts of Palm. And we have worked really diligently and consistently with the city of Riviera Beach, particularly through the code inspectors, who would call St. Mark's when a neighbor in the community needed a yard to be cleaned up, or paint, new paint job, or a roof needed to be repaired. And St. Mark's has probably, serviced 80 or so different family members and small businesses actually in Riviera Beach, leading to the point where we actually bought a home at 31st and Avenue O. We lease out, we rehab the home, we lease it out to the Lord's Place, and we're able to put families in transition in that house paying $650 a month rather than the $1,800 to $2,500 a month rent that many of the residents on that street are paying to other landlords. So we've got this vision and this desire to want to be part of Riviera Beach. We're kind of done driving in and going back up to Palm Beach Gardens and Jupiter. We want to kind of go back home to what gave birth to our congregation. And so when this happened at St. George's Community Center, we petitioned our diocese, our bishop, and it doesn't really matter how things work within our structures, but they deeded the property to St. Mark's with the hope that we could do something to make it better, meaning tearing down the old building. We looked at the building, what can we do to make it better? We're not asking for any different use of that building. We're gonna build a chapel inside the building so we can continue to worship there, but just to have a better facility, secure, clean, well-maintained, managed. Hearts of Palm will have its offices that serves the city in that building, and other nonprofits would like to be in the building as well. So, as I'm sure many of you know now, other nonprofits bring buses, or they have volunteers that will come over there and serve the community. Some of those nonprofits would like to be inside the building. So the Lord's Place would like to have a facilitated center inside, to be able to meet folks and work them to get them off the street. We'd like to have the healthcare district would like to have a small, kind of one room little clinic in there where some blood pressures can be taken. We would like to facilitate a dining area that not only accommodates perhaps the person kind of on the street, but also the families that we've gotten to know in the community who could really benefit from coming over and getting a good dinner and not being afraid to bring their children to the center because they know it's secure and that it's being managed appropriately. And so we've got high hopes for how we can continue to partner with Riviera Beach and be part of the community and take an initiative to make it better. And so we've worked really hard with Burst Thomas to design a building that we think is actually really beautiful on the outside. It's a pretty simple building. On the inside, it'll be a nice kitchen and a bunch of spaces to eat and have some small meeting rooms. But really, we want it to be an asset to the community. We want it to be a place that invites people into it and where they feel dignified and served appropriately, as we believe that all of us are people who desire to be treated with dignity and with respect. And we're thinking that would be a great place. And we're excited about it and looking forward to hoping to get that thing up and going here in the next little bit. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father Cook. So hopefully that gets you really inspired about what's happening here. So again, the site is there on the screen. Clarence showed it to you in a larger context on the map. And before I get too much further, I have to stop and just really thank Clarence and the city staff of working with us and working to get this to you and help us develop the project with excellence. I think when you'll see some of the pictures, you heard the heart, but you can really see that the St. Mark's really wants to make a significant investment and be here and be a part of the city of Riviera Beach. Clarence went through the land use and the zoning, so I won't go over that in too much detail, but our site is in the downtown mixed use land use and core zoning, so the use is consistent with your comprehensive plan, as Clarence had pointed out, in the criteria for review. This is an old picture. We've since taken that building and demolished it. So it's just an empty lot at this point. But as Father Cook pointed out, the building had basically become functionally obsolete. It was not designed to be able to provide the security and that sense of safeness for the functions that it was done. So we started over with a brand new building that's really worthy of the corridor. This is our site plan with a little bit of color on it. The building is to the right. It's 2 stories, about 9,215 square feet. We have a beautiful parking lot that's secure and landscaped. We've thoroughly looked at the drainage. We're actually using permeable pavers. So we're not as our building going to be beautiful and serve the needs of the community. It's also going to express our commitment to the community from an ecological perspective, being green and respectful of the city of Riviera Beach. We're implementing the requirements of your master plan to provide on-street parking. We have a security wall that goes across the front, which is absolutely beautiful, and a gate. So when the facility is not open, that gate will be closed. But when it's open, you'll see it's very much so inviting. And so a lot of thought has been given to the design and how we will meet the needs of the community, not only providing clothing and feeding and counseling, but meeting also the needs of the families that are here in the wonderful city of Riviera Beach. So very, very exciting. We have a vegetable garden where we'll be able to not only serve food, but serve food that's very healthy, and which is really important to everyone to have healthy food. So here's a few renderings. You can see that this is just not a basic building. It's a building that's been designed with a lot of care and passion to pick up on some of the old homage of what was there with St. George's and to bring in some new flavor. So it's something that looks fresh and new, that hopefully everybody that comes here, can be very much so dignified in a building that's designed with excellence. everything down from the building design to the interior design to the outside to the landscaping. Every detail has been very carefully thought of. A few more renderings. We have some green walls. So the building is designed to make people feel very, very friendly. So this is that gate area in the front. So people will be able to drive in, and the entrance is right there to the left as you would come in, right before the brick wall that says Hearts of Palm Center. This is an area in the back with some of our garden areas. Spent a lot of time with the landscape design, just trying to make something that would make somebody when they're here just feel welcomed and feel in a very, very refreshed environment. This gives you some of the views. We have some garden areas in the back, which also provide for some privacy for other functions to take place. Here's some other views. So it's a great addition to the street just off of Broadway. And you saw the elevations that Clarence showed. As Clarence pointed out, we have a wonderful landscape plan. It actually exceeds your code. And has been coordinated with the utilities and the drainage, and will be a very, very nice addition to the site. This is the plat. You know, the plat is a document that is required pursuant to the Florida statutes. Your zoning code years ago, as you can see to the south, here this was like 10 different individual lots. And of course, your code now requires larger lots. So when we come in and we develop or redevelop properties, we're required to consolidate them into a plat of record. And it's just a technical requirement that we're required to do. And we've worked with your staff to do that. So that's our presentation. This project is all about the community, about giving back and being a part of the great city of Riviera Beach, and meeting the needs of anybody who needs it. And so I'll conclude my presentation and happy to answer any questions that you have.
Do we have any public comments before we get the board?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Brandy Davis Balsamo, followed by Mike Mahoney.
Thank you. Brandy Davis Balsamo, I live in Lakeview Park, and I am
I'm sorry, can we reset the timer, please? Sorry about that.
Don't worry, I won't be that long. So I am the founder and president of a new nonprofit in Riviera Beach, and so when I found out about this project, because part of our initiative is to really inform the public about what's going on, I was astonished that I didn't know about all the good work that you're doing, and just really impressed. Visited the website and learned about, you know, just the help that you provide on the ground to provide those pathways to self-sufficiency. I'm incredibly impressed, and as a new organization that's looking to work with other organizations, I would say that we support what you're doing and are just very amazed at the thoughtfulness of the building, and everything that you put into this is just incredible. Might be the most beautiful building we've seen in the area. So just wanted to give our support, and if there's any way that we can work with you, please let us know. Happy to reach out and talk through that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Mike Mahoney.
Good evening, Mike Mahoney.
Good evening, sir.
I'm not against this project, but I heard a lot of stuff tonight because I own the building right to the east of it, 2135 Broadway, which would basically be right next to it, east of it along the alleyway. So I heard some things tonight because I've had problems with my building for the past 20 years. Drainage, you guys talking about drainage, you really went on that. Sewer drainage, which on my property, the city sewer lines back, I think they end right at my building along the alleyway. And my building has black water flooded 4 times. City's fault. City paid for it 2 or 3 times. I'm waiting for it to happen again because, you know, I've had black water into my building, like I just said, overflowed through the the line that runs along that alleyway, wherever it runs, because of the inadequate city motor at the lift station or whatever it was. I'm not sure exactly the details, but I don't know to this day if the city's ever replaced all that drainage. So those are two big concerns, because any water that comes off that property when they build it, unless there's more city drainage in the streets somewhere, all that water is still going to run down towards the low point, which is on US 1, which is right on the corner of my building, and all that area floods. So unless you guys are addressing the whole street drainage, sewers and everything, I don't know how you can approve anything unless you're going to replace all that. Because if my building backs up again with sewer water, you know, it's going to be another lawsuit. It's already been 2 times, 3 times. Cities had to pay for it. So, you know, there's the concerns that I have as a building owner. The other thing is all the different activities that the father was mentioning. You know, I'm just wondering about how that's going to affect the whole area running into the nighttime and stuff. Because, you know, right now, any businesses along there generally stop working around 5 because there's residentials there. And in my building, I have 2 residentials upstairs. So any activity or noise is going to affect all that. So you just can't give him an open blanket to do anything he wants right off the bat, because that's going to escalate into God knows what. And if it does, you guys aren't going to be able to stop it because you approved it. I've had an experience with the business next door to me right now, Boat Owners Warehouse. You approved it to move in there, and everything he's doing now isn't proper. I had to fight to stop it. So you guys really need to look at it. You need to talk to me. I'd like to talk to them and, you know, see if we can work it out, because I'm concerned about all that. Yeah.
Mr. Sermons, on this project, I understand they already addressed the drainage issue. Has the city engineer provided input? I know, and I appreciate using permeable pavers. That's what I was talking before. That is the new trend. Instead of blacktop, you get the water flowing out, you get more drainage.
Yeah, in addition, just for the record, the existing site was prior to us demolishing the buildings, was predominantly 100% impervious. There was very little green area on that site. And so with what we're doing between the pervious pavers, we have underground exfiltration in addition to that, and all the additional green space that was not there before. This site will be much better. And I believe that the property owner, which we will be absolutely sure to work with to make sure his issues go away, is referring to, when he's referring to Blackwater, I think he's talking about some of the sewer. And so that issue would be as equally of a concern of ours. We have one of the finest civil engineers in Palm Beach County, Simmons and White. Mr. Brian Kelly is here tonight, but they've thoroughly evaluated that with your wonderful city engineer and planning staff. So we've addressed it, and we want to be the best neighbor that we can be. Also, to alleviate any fear about activities into the night, basically the facility will generally close down around 6:30 p.m. You know, might be 7 o'clock in the summertime when it's a little bit later, but in the evening hours it will not be open. So it's basically once they're done with a final feeding, then it's closed.
Question for you. You also only have 20 parking spots and 4 on the street. Is that enough for all the activity?
It is. You know, many of our customers, the people that we would serve, don't drive. They don't have cars. And so it absolutely is, you know, during the daytime is when a lot of the nonprofit activities would occur. During the times when there's feeding, they're not always, you know, they're gone. They're not there during those periods of times. In addition, we have provided a substantial amount of bicycle parking, as you've seen on the site plan. And so, yes, we have we meet your code as it relates to the parking. We have substantially more parking than we've ever had. You saw the old site plan there was no parking, and it was able to function. So we're confident that we've met your requirements and everything will work well.
The engineering report on the drainage issue, if any?
Yes, as with any site plan that comes through the city engineer was a reviewer on it. He has been satisfied through his communications with their engineer that the drainage plan submitted for this is sufficient and would not cause any adverse effects.
Shepherd.
Sir, first, thank Father, is it Cook? Okay. I like St. Mark's. I go to the doctor down on 20, I think 5, somewhere over that area. So when I come back, I do get kind of stunned because it's a long line down there. I can't figure out what that's all about. But I always have a wreck when I come out that way because I'm trying to look and see what's going on. So it must be something good. I am aware of St. George. I love St. George. My granddaughter went to school there with Cynthia Beckham. And so the activities there, I have enjoyed being there. Yes, there's a lot of problems that was there, and I'm glad that you guys come in and tore it down. People say always complain. Maybe I do. But I want to say I think this is a lovely project. When I passed by there and I saw it being torn down, I'm like, oh my God, St. George is gone. But now you're building a more beautiful site. And I think that's going to be very good because the children in that area, I think, will have a place to go. I do have one problem. City Hall would be built on that adjoining, okay, City Hall would be built there. So when we're having many meetings at City Hall, how will that affect their establishment? Because they say they close at 6:30. Our meetings start at 6:30. And of course, when we do the overflow, it will probably affect them, I think, on the street. How does that affect their project?
I would say we don't have enough information about the proposed City Hall development yet. More than likely, it will be a development that's over parked where there's plenty of on-site parking for public meetings to handle the types of operations that the city would have there. But there are no current development site plans or documents for staff to review for what would be north of that on the proposed future City Hall site.
Okay, wait, yes or no? Are we going to be overparked in that area? Because we are going to be overparked.
Is the City Hall building going to
City
be
Hall,
overhauled?
because you know when we have these meetings and special things, we already overparked at City Hall, the old City Hall. How is it going to affect them? Because they do have large, don't kid yourself, they have large operations at St. George that went on. Now they're a bigger and better operation. How will that affect them?
At the moment, staff has no reason to believe that the two uses would be incompatible, meaning that we believe they could live harmoniously next to one another.
Okay. To Mr. Mahoney, and I think you say you're going to work with Mr. Mahoney. My hats go off to Mr. Mahoney because he's the one that got us televised. Him and his wife kept it up to it now televised so everybody see us. There is a problem over there in that area. I think, I can't remember how far back it went, but I remember Mr. Mahoney came to the city and the water was up to his building. With you coming on with a new operation, I think once again, we need to have a hands-on view of how their operation is going to affect his operation. And may I say I was educated last week by Mr. Clark and Nehemiah Spence that talked about the pipes in that area. They're old pipes, Mr. Sherman, that's the problem. It was an educational view that there is backup there. Will this affect Mr. Mahoney? Because it's a bigger and better operation going on now. How do we address that? If we're going to address the parking, how do we address him? Or are we going to address him? Because I got a feeling you're not going to address him. You'll address them, but not him.
I think our plan is part of the solution. So, we're having to come in and do a comprehensive analysis of all that drainage, not only the drainage around, but the drainage around us, the drainage on 22nd Street as it relates to what we're doing there, as well as on-site. And so we're going to improve the situation. We're not going to make the situation any worse. So if the property to the east is being impacted, it has a high probability of impacting us. So I can promise you we're spending millions of dollars on this project to serve the community, that we're going to make sure that all the drainage works. So we'll commit to you to make sure that our team looks at what's happening and works with the city staff.
Okay, number two, staffing, no, let me go back to, the construction. Are you gonna have local participation? Are we gonna track the local participation? Are you bringing in your own team without bringing in Riviera Beach residents? How are you gonna address that?
At this point, we haven't selected a contractor. Certainly, we can, ensure that we kind of work with the city's office. I know that our goal is to serve the community, and to be nothing better than for us that people would be able to work on the project. But we'll have to make those requests as we go through the bidding and the contracting process, and we're not there yet.
I thought you said you had your team here.
I don't have our contractor. I have our architect and our Father Cook, our attorneys and our engineers. Father Cook here making say word.
The contractor is Anderson Moore. Is our contractor. I can't, I mean, we can go back and I'm sure get the answers to some of the questions you're asking, because I know we talked about that when we talked to Anderson Moore. This project is going on for a couple of years now, and so they're kind of sitting on the wings, kind of giving us pricing and that kind of thing, but we have not really engaged them yet until we get the go-ahead to start moving. But those are all questions that we're certainly want to satisfy and work. Again, we're really committed to working within this community. That's what we're, the outsiders, and we're trying to find kind of some home here. And Anderson Moore has done work down here in other settings. I know they have, and they're good friends of St. Mark's, and had their children go to school at St. Mark's and so forth. So we've got a relationship with them, and we'll certainly listen to what your requirements would be and try to fulfill them to the best that we can.
Okay, I don't know who would answer this, because you haven't started the process. The people that will work there, how do you go about the hiring status inside the building? I think I'm talking about. How do you go about that?
Well, St. Mark's will own the building. St. George Table would be a tenant in the building, and St. George Table will have probably an executive director and a cook. And then other nonprofits that would be in the building would probably be a person per each nonprofit. One of the hopes is that smaller little nonprofits within Riviera Beach who are doing amazing work serving this community, they need a home, like an office space, right? That doesn't cost a fortune, that they can be secure. And I'm looking at some folks who are here tonight, with that kind of ministry who really need a home base. I can't imagine that there would be more than 10 people working down there at a time. It gets busy when the volunteers come down to serve the meals. When the community comes in for that 3 hours late in the afternoon, early evening to serve the meals, and then there might be, 20 people from an organization there to serve a meal, and they're there for that short time, and then they leave. So we don't really know, but the building's not that big, so there can't be too much staff working around there. But St. Mark's is looking at probably 3 or 4 staff members from our church that would be there permanently.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I think it was one more question. Oh, okay. With St. George, once again, I'm very familiar with the area. I'm on 23rd Street. The protection there, because right now, as you all were talking about it, became a very dangerous area. People sleeping all out there. You say you're going to have a gate and close the gate. Is this what I'm hearing?
Yeah, we'll have a gate which can keep the campus secure. We've worked with your staff on lighting, so that there's adequate lighting, so there's not places for people to hide and it feels safe. Of course, I think sometimes when you just create a beautiful place, it tends to, make the crime go away. I mean, if we can make a dignified place for people to come to, and there are good people that come down there, have eyes on the street, hopefully that crime goes to a different place. But also with the design of the building, our architects are designed in what they call, crime prevention through environmental design. So again, making sure that the building is light and open, that there's eyes on the street, there's people that can see what's going on. So if they see something, they have the opportunity to report it. So I think with what we're doing, coming into the neighborhood with the city hall, I mean, you're going to begin to see some great revitalization that's there.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all my question.
I don't have any questions. I just like to say, I'm happy to see that they're going to be upgrading that area as far as the building. What was there was okay. And I used to see those lines down the street and around the corner. But I'm happy that you all are upgrading that building. Thank you.
Well,
Sort of the same thing that my colleague stated, that, like I said, it's good to see some improvement to the community and moving to the city, and some of the things that the pastor was speaking about, how some of the things that they bring into the city to be able to help the people in the community. So I don't have any questions for as far as the project, but seem to be pretty excited about the future use, especially with the city hall coming in and everything being utilized together, and as far as a partnership, a teamwork with the city and with the people in the community to be able to help out. It's a good location for that. And like I say, just besides coming in and creating a safe environment for everyone, it seems like a very good project. So thank you.
I'm glad the father had an opportunity to clear up kind of the use of the proposed site. I have volunteered myself at St. George's for many, many, many years, served a lot of meals there with a lot of different of my organizations under Ms. Beckton. So very much needed. I heard when you mentioned moving your operations from Palm Beach Gardens in Jupiter. So I was like, okay, are they moving the entire church? But okay, 20 parking spaces. So I fully understand now the services that will be provided. Just glad to hear it. The site looks really nice. Looking forward to the new building and getting in to do some more community service work. So thank you.
Yes, the site does look beautiful. Mr. Hearing, you say that the sewer system was looked at? The sewer system? Sewer?
Yes, we will be tying into
It
the
was looked at
city's,
before, as Mr. Mahoney was concerned about?
yeah, we will be tying into the city's sanitary sewer system.
Oh.
And then, of course, we've coordinated with all the area drainage system as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sermons, can you do me a favor? I keep hearing the same issues with the drainage and now the black water. We have a new public works director, Roberto Traviose.
Yes, I would.
Can you please get a hold of the new director, fill him in on what's going on? I'm sure Mr. Mahoney is more than glad to provide you his contact information so that we can get this problem resolved, because I keep hearing it every time there's a development in that area. And with all the vacant lots in that area and all the businesses, we're going to be asking the same questions over and over again. Can we get a response from the new public works director after he has a chance to assess the area, talk to the neighbors, the business owners? Could you please take care of that for us? And then just drop us a little email as to your, just a little talk to public works director. He'll be on it. And then 3 or 4 weeks, you get another email from me, says, what's the update? He's already gotten plenty of emails from me, so I'm sure he won't mind another one.
And so the request is for the Public Works Director
The new director, bring him
to,
up to date.
correct. You want him to provide something in writing, or are you requesting that he appear at a P&Z meeting?
I would like him to appear at the next public so he can introduce himself. And then I'm sure Ms. Shepherd would like to have a nice little conversation with him and
Already
others on the
did.
board.
I already did have a
Oh, you did with
conversation.
the,
Yes, I
okay.
did.
Well, at least relay that to him, and maybe he can get out there with his team and give us some feedback. just to clarify, we're not imposing it as a condition, we're just suggesting that you speak to the new Public Works Director, bring him up to date what's going on, and he can address the issues. And maybe he can attend one of the next planning and zoning meetings where we can chat with him and see what his point of views are. I know City Manager Jonathan Evans, we have an outdated system, sewer and water, that they're working on. Maybe they can come up with the plan and bring it up at the next meeting. Communicate with the citizens of what this future bonds and plans are. Is that okay with you, Mr. Sermons?
Yeah, so what I will do is make contact with the Public Works Director and let him know that this board would like to hear more on plans for addressing drainage in this particular part of the city or the city in general.
In the city in general, since we're having, but they're coming up with a plan of what they're going to, where they're going to be working at. I am not aware of the exact specifics, but I was assured that they'll start with the new water plant that's coming up. They're going to start working in different sections of the city because they know the infrastructure is outdated. It's old.
It is.
Like anything, like in Fort Lauderdale, all the pipe bursting, they're 100 and something years old. So just figure out if there's a plan, when that plan will be into effect, if there's a mediation that could be handled in the meantime. Just a suggestion. That's all I'm asking. The board is asking.
And I'll just want to clarify a couple things. The drainage is handled by the Public Works Department. Drinking water and wastewater systems are handled by the Riviera Beach Special Utility District. Both entities have engineers that, with their licenses on the line, review these projects to make sure that their development will not create adverse effects. So when any site plan comes to you, you could rest assured that those persons have looked at it and evaluated against those things. But what I'm hearing now is that the board would like more information on the broader and long-term plans for wastewater systems, drinking water systems, as well as drainage for the city. So what I will do is contact the directors of those organizations and let them know what the board is looking for and coordinate a time for them to update you on their plans to address it citywide. But on a site-specific basis, those engineers have looked at these projects before they come here. And I know there's often concern from our public about drainage and things like that. But on a site-by-site basis, those things have been evaluated by licensed engineers and satisfied before they come here. But I will make sure we address the broader plans and long-term plans of the cities in those areas.
Thank you. Now, just a little housekeeping.
Yes,
On
sir.
the agenda, we only have St. Mark's Site Plan SP 230007. We do not have a replat on the agenda, replat PA 230009. Do you want to add that to the agenda? It's on your staff report. I'm looking at it here on your staff report, but it's not on the agenda, unless I'm missing it somewhere.
That's correct. The plat is not on this agenda. We did not have all comments back. Satisfactory enough for us to be confident to put it on this agenda. So we will put it on a future one. And if it's so okay, we will put it on. We don't have.
Perfect. So tonight we're just doing the site.
That's correct.
Perfect. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Mrs. Shepherd.
the Public Works Director is new. Mr. Cedric Clark, I think, been there for a while. Very educated. If you can have, 'cause this guy is new and look like it's, Anyway, if you can have him come, because I want Mr. Mahoney to be very comfortable. I'm comfortable because I heard Mr. Clark talk and Nehemiah talk, and they made me rest assured that those pipes over there are very old, and they're getting ready to build a new building. And I would not want them to build a new building and that infrastructure is old. So maybe they can come just give us a 15-minute upbeat of what's really going on in the area. And like I said, this Public Works Director is new. I would rather hear from somebody been there for a while. Just a suggestion.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I've done with Mr. Clark as well. That's perfect. That's perfect. Either one would be fine. I just want to make sure the new director is apprised of what's going on.
Yes.
Since he's going to have his different vision for his section. So I just want to make sure we're both on the same playing field.
I just want everybody to be comfortable,
Absolutely.
especially Mahoney's and the people in that area, and then going over to where Mr. Mahoney's building is at. I want everybody to be comfortable because it's going to be a new and exciting venture for us, and I'm excited about it. And Father Cook, you sold this program. They ought to pat you on the back with that infectious smile. You sold me. I don't know about that.
Thank you for helping Riviera Beach and bringing your wonderful program and everything you do for us here. Now, do I have a motion to accept approving site plan application SP 230007 as read into the record by Ms. Davidson earlier?
So move.
Second.
Or who's the second?
Tie.
Who's I?
No, it was a tie. They said it at the same time.
I thought you said I. I'm like, who am I?
They're trying to get in the good graces of,
Father Cook, I'm telling you, you sold it, sir.
Need some prayer.
Thank you. Anthony Brown,
Yes.
Renee Burgess,
Yes.
James Gallen,
Yes.
Margaret Shepherd,
Yes.
William Wiley,
Yes.
Frank Fernandez.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you and good luck and same to you.
Welcome to the city.
Mr. Chair, if I may. The remaining items on the agenda are from the same applicant. So if it pleases the board, the staff presentation would cover all four. However, we would ask that your votes take place individually for the items.
Yes, as we've done in the past. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Perfect.
We don't, typically we would read the header of the first item and you can vote on that one after it's read, but the remaining ones would still have to be read in a separate vote.
So do you want Ms. Davidson to read each one into the record now, or do you want to do it after?
Just one right now.
Perfect.
Items,
just- Thank you. Can we, Father, can we get the floor back? Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Thompson.
Item 7C, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving a small-scale future land use flu map amendment to the City of Riviera Beach's comprehensive plan, approving application LU-23-0004 from Found Care Inc., applicant located at 3501 Broadway, property control numbers 5643422830 001 0010 and 5643422800 001 0160 on approximately plus minus 2.52 acres, plus minus 109,967 square feet, requesting a land use plan amendment to change a future land use designation from the single-family residential up to 6 dwelling units per acre to a land use designation of downtown mixed use and providing for an effective date and for other purposes.
Okay, excuse me, for the record, Kurt Thompson, Principal Planner, Development Services Department, and I will present this case. The applicant is here as well, Mr. Irizarry, and associate members. I think this is Ms. Murillo. Before you on the overhead is a request for a small-scale future land use map amendment, a zoning map amendment, a request for an abandonment, a resolution approving a site a resolution approving a site plan application, and a resolution approving a replat. So the first three items, the small scale future land use map amendment, the zoning map amendment, are ordinances, and the abandonment is also an ordinance. And then the last two are resolutions. This is the project location, showing it in red that you can see here. This is West 35th Street, which is part of a proposal for an abandonment. The applicant is requesting approval of a small-scale future land use amendment, a rezoning of the western portion of the site. Well, I'll get to that in a moment. The western portion of the site in this area here. And then an abandonment site plan approval and a replat approval to allow for a new found care clinic, a medical clinic. Subject property is right now vacant. You have the parcel IDs as indicated on the slide here before you. The lot size is plus or minus 2.52 acres or plus or minus 109,000 square feet. The zoning is downtown residential DR and single family RS6. Regarding the property over in this area here, before you now is a slide showing the abandonment request. As I've shown to you in the previous in the previous slide, you see the proposed North 35th Street abandonment as depicted by this slide. This is showing the subject property. The proposed future land use is the current future land use for the, there we go, the next slide. The current land use is such here, which this is downtown mixed use. And then the property here is, I believe, is downtown residential, DR. And then this is RS6, I believe. This is what it would look like, the proposed rezoning. The entire area that you see here in purple would become downtown general, DG, downtown general, okay? This is an illustration of the proposed site plan, showing all of you the retention area here. This is the parking area. For the record, this is Avenue E. This here is Broadway. To the north is a McDonald's drive-through restaurant. And to the south here is a used car lot here. Okay, this for orientation purpose. Again, Broadway, Avenue E, McDonald's, and here is a downtown used car lot. The subject property building will be here with the parking and accessory uses and so forth. This is the proposed landscape plan that you see here. Quite a lot of lush landscaping is being proposed for the site, particularly landscape strip between the vehicles, landscape islands, landscaping along the whole south side, and landscaping along the north end, landscaping along here. There will be a 6-foot high wall here with landscaping on the inside, but part of the condition staff recommend that there be murals placed along the wall here so that the residential area, instead of just looking at a bare wall, looking at possible some artistry similar to what you see on the water tower over at 600 West Blue Heron Boulevard. Okay, what you have here is an elevation showing the front portion of what the building would look like. And here is this is the west view of the subject building, which would be the rear end of the property. And this elevation is this is the north view of the subject proposed building. And what you have here is the south view of the proposed building. In terms of the staff review, according to section 3157 for the site plan review, the site plan shall be to ascertain if the proposed new development is in conforming with the comp plan. 2, is not detrimental to the neighboring land use. 3, that an efficient pedestrian and vehicular traffic system exists. And lastly, that the proposed project shall be a viable addition to the community. And it's been the staff's professional opinion that in the comprehensive plan, future land use element, objective 181, mixed use is downtown mixed use. The downtown mixed use category provides for a wide range of uses, including retail and commercial, because one of the things the applicant also proposes is some sort of a retail use, as well as medical offices with a lab and doctors and a dentist, etc. So the proposed use, it will be compatible with this objective. Staff reviewed this, and during the public notice, this hearing was properly noticed according to state law and city regulations. Staff has not received any communication either for or opposed to this project. And then staff recommends to the Planning and Zoning Board that they recommend approval to the City Council. This application based upon the following findings of fact. The proposal is consistent with the intent of the comp plan. The proposal is consistent with the future land use element of the comprehensive plan. And lastly, there are site plan conditions of approval that will eliminate any adverse impact to the surrounding area. The applicant has his agent here, and she will present. And with that, that ends the staff's presentation. The applicant is here. I ask that the board hold off any questions till after the applicant has made their presentation, and I'm sure, and I would hope that you would. I think you might like what you will see.
Mr. Thompson, for the record, you covered C, D, E, and F. Am I correct?
That is correct, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Adriana Murillo with Stylish Architecture, here representing Mr. Irizarry and the Found Care team. I'll go with the architectural site plan. So as mentioned by Mr. Thompson, the Found Care is a revolutionary federally qualified healthcare center poised to transform healthcare accessibility.
Keep speaking to the mic, honey. I can't hear you.
Sure, I'll start over. Is this better?
Thank you. That's
All right.
better.
Found Care is a revolutionary, federally qualified healthcare center poised to transform healthcare accessibility for the vibrant community of Rivera Beach. Nestled on Broadway between the 37th and 34th Streets, this approximately 2.52 acres this groundbreaking facility is more than just a building. It's a beacon for well-being for the residents. Designed across two stories with a total footprint of approximately 20,000 square feet, Found Care stands tall as a symbol of commitment to your community's health. The primary healthcare center encompasses 15,000 square feet, while an additional 2,500 square feet is dedicated to each of two accessory spaces, serving as dynamic business incubators. Aligned with the healthcare center's mission, these spaces are set to nurture businesses that contribute to the overall well-being of the community. A sleek and modern structure built with state-of-the-art features. Let me open the renderings. This building boasts an insulated low-E impact glazing system with aluminum sun shading elements, a variety of aluminum composite metal panels with smooth, corrugated, and wood look finishes, and painted stucco exteriors. The surroundings are just as thoughtfully crafted. A paved walkway wraps around the east, south, and west of the building, leading to all businesses. Solar benches, bike racks, and LED site lighting enhance the overall ambiance. The site doesn't just provide physical well-being, but also fosters mental serenity. A Zen path winds its way through a landscaped area, doubling as a dry retention area for stormwater management, which is what I showed on the site plan that I had open. This area right here. This environmental design not only aligns with the city's aesthetics, but also reflects our commitment to holistic community well-being. The main entrances for the incubator spaces have expansive, hold on a second, let me open that one up. Storefronts facing Broadway, offering an impressive 120 lineal feet of frontage. Each entrance showcases a canopy system designed to offer weather protection and is aligned with an exterior sitting area adorned with solar benches and flanked by lush landscaping. As you journey south, a spacious sitting area awaits for outdoor dining, catering to the needs of the incubation restaurant business within on the south end. You could see that here. Continue westward and you'll find the entrance to Found Care, the heart of this transformative project, which is back there. It's right here. Inside Found Care, a carefully curated space awaits. The ground level houses essential facilities like a reception area, pharmacy, dental rooms, conference room, laboratory, and testing rooms. Ascend to the second floor and you'll discover an adult and pediatrics exam rooms, women's health, and behavioral health facilities, ensuring comprehensive healthcare services for all residents. The healthcare facility interior boasts of modern terrazzo floors, expansive wall tiles accentuating the elevator shaft in the main lobby, quartz countertops, antimicrobial paints, and durable vinyl wainscot wall coverings throughout. The design incorporates long-lasting materials for both interior and exterior finishes, ensuring a visually appealing appearance for years to come. In essence, Found Care is more than just a healthcare center. It's a testament to our commitment to enhancing the quality of Riviera Beach's residents. As we embark on this journey together, let Found Care stand as a shining example of how architecture, innovation, and community well-being converge to create a healthier future for us all. Thank you.
You have any questions? You want to look
I
at
couldn't even understand what she said, so you can pass on me.
All right, basically what you're doing is it's going to be a primary healthcare. It's going to have dental offices, medical
Dental
offices.
offices, medical, mental health. Yes, of course. Come on.
Tell us who you are and how you relate to this project.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Christopher Rosario. I'm the CEO of Found Care. This project is a community health center. Found Care has 8 sites throughout Palm Beach County. Last year, we serviced 24,000 unique patients. We provide primary health care services for adults, children. We provide women's health services, including OBGYN, dental services. So everyone that comes to this site can receive services regardless of ability to pay. So if a person has insurance, they present their insurance. If a person is uninsured, we still see them. They're placed on what's called the sliding fee scale, which, for instance, in our case, a nominal fee is $25 for the visit. However, if the person who's uninsured and comes to Found Care doesn't have the $25, we still see them. We're also going to have a pharmacy there. And we're part of a large group called, we're a federally qualified health center. There's several of us throughout the United States, but Found Care has been in Palm Beach County and started as the Comprehensive AIDS Program, One of our first offices was actually across from this site, where Goodwill is, years ago. When folks were dying with HIV, we were one of the first organizations to help people die with dignity who were living with HIV. So we also provide services in the HIV space. We have a pharmacy. So all those services are under one roof. So, you know, in our case, we offer access to primary care to people from all walks of life, and we try to simplify things. So if you come, you know, for instance, in our Palm Springs site on Congress, you know, we noticed that we were referring women out for a mammography. And in 2019, we referred out 500 women to get a mammography, and only 100 got it. Because in our community, women work 6 days a week or they have kids. You come to Women's Health Services to see and get your regular checkup, and then the doctor says, oh, we'll get a mammography, and we noticed that was a problem. So we partnered with another organization, had a mammography machine installed, and we screened 4,000 women in 2 years. Those are the kind of things that we do at Found Care, and we make sure everything is accessible to everyone. The reason we came across this project is we worked with different organizations and identified that in Riviera Beach, in 2019, there was a study done of 2 zip codes. The life expectancy in those 2 zip codes in Riviera Beach was 69 years of age compared to 82 in the rest of the county. There's an issue with access to healthcare, and we want to make a difference. Also, the infant mortality rate now is 8.4 deaths for every 1,000 births or pregnancies. So we understand the need to provide access. And not just that, we also want to be embedded in the community. We want kids to come in and shadow, kids that want to grow up to be doctors, that they can shadow a doctor or nurses. We have to change the paradigm and the dynamics in terms of healthcare and preventative healthcare.
Parking? How many slots?
We have 121 parking spaces.
Okay, good. Employees and for people.
To the gentleman, can you come back? If I remember correctly, it's been a while. You were just appointed as the.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
I lost all my hair since then.
Well, you're still good looking. That's how I remember you.
February 1st, 2022.
2022.
Yes,
See that
ma'am.
my mind is kind
Yeah,
of
you
sharp.
got
I
it.
remember.
You pay attention.
Yeah, I remember. And in that particular meeting, it talked about, I couldn't understand anything she was saying, and it could be me. I think I heard someone say something about shops in there. It's going to.
Yes.
Okay, now repeat that part about.
Sure. It's not. So there's a business incubation component in this project, in collaboration with the CRA of the City of Riviera Beach. This is a true partnership. So City of Riviera Beach understands they want to develop that area. And so we carved out of the 20,000 square feet, 5,000 square feet to provide to the city to create what's called 2 business incubation programs. So they're programs to really help develop and start business in those 2 spaces. So those 2 spaces, those 5,000 square feet there on the right-hand side, which are on the front of Broadway, are being offered to the CRA so that they can manage 2 business incubation spaces there. So we want to make sure that we're a good partner with the city. And so that was one of the things that was important, that they had frontage when we met with the city council, where there's business opportunities and things that can be done there. And of course, what we've asked of them in return is that is consistent with healthcare, right? You know, we want to make sure that we don't have a business there that, you know, clashes with what we're trying to do with keep people healthy.
Okay, now, I did go by the site. Next door is McDonald's. How is it? Because you're going to stop and get a burger and throw the trash there, or, you know, or they're going to walk across where you're at. How's that going to affect your business?
Well, look, my hope is one of the reasons we're coming into the city is to try to change change people's mindset, but get people to understand how important preventative care is. In terms of rubbish or garbage or anything in front of us, we're continuously going out. We're going to have someone full-time there cleaning and always picking things up. And that's one of the things we pride ourselves on. And I'll welcome anyone on the board that wants to see one of our existing sites. You'd be really surprised at how beautiful they are. We build spaces where people want to come to, not have to come to. Even though we're a community health center, you know, we take pride in making sure that when people come there, part of your healthcare has to do with how you feel and how you're treated. And when you walk into the door of one of our Found Care facilities, you're going to realize that we respect the patients that are coming to it. Whether you have insurance and money or don't have insurance and money, you're going to be treated with respect and dignity. And we pride ourselves on that. So we will work to keep it. Now, we wish people would stop eating McDonald's and eat healthier, but that's a whole other part of the business, which is educating people on nutrition, their health. The important thing about primary care, what I want everyone to take away with you this evening, is that we have to empower people to take control of their lives. I lost my father to colon cancer. That's why I've been doing this as long as I could, because my father died at 60. And at the age of 50, he had blood in his stool, and he never went to the doctor because he was some proud guy, never went to the doctor. I'm never sick or anything. At the time he was 59, they went in, they checked, and they noticed he had cancer in his colon, and it had spread to his liver. And a year later, he died. And that's the impact that we're going to be making, is to educate people. And if everyone comes to Found Care once a year to check how they are, their blood work, we're going to be able to make people healthier. That's the whole goal here, is to make sure that everyone in Riviera Beach has access to a community health center in their neighborhood. This is passionate. We're passionate about it.
Question. Are you gonna have a wall there to separate you from McDonald's? How is that gonna work out?
I'm gonna have
So a wall is only required in between this site and the residential areas around it. So we have a wall on the west and on the south.
Next to McDonald's, what's gonna be next to
McDonald's is on the north side,
Is
and
it gonna
since
be
it's
a
also
wall?
a commercial area, it
It's
does
gonna be
not
a wall
require.
there, excuse me, it's
Mhm.
gonna be a wall there, or what's gonna separate you from
There's
wall?
no wall, we just have landscaping separating us.
So they can walk from, McDonald's across the bushes, I guess, and walk onto your property?
That's correct.
To me, that's
This
unacceptable.
is that elevation right there. So McDonald's, this is the drive-through out of McDonald's. And this is our property right here.
Okay, once again, Mr. Sherman, they can walk from McDonald's over to their property, and there's gonna be trash there. That's acceptable? I mean, is it gonna be, shrubbery or what?
There's gonna be landscaping there, correct? Do you have a picture of the landscaping?
I
in that area?
understand the
Well,
landscaping,
this
but
is it. So we have landscaping on separating both properties. And because both are commercial properties, an actual wall isn't required.
oh, okay. That's all she had to say. I asked the question. I think that's it, Mr. Chair.
And we do provide and are calling out for trash cans all over the site.
Are you gonna have security on site?
Yes, we have security on all our sites. And we're going to be open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday to begin. But of course, if the community need is that we stay a little bit open a little later or start Saturday hours, it depends on the utilization. So as time goes on and there's more demand for the services, then we would expand and add hours. As the community says, oh, we need more care and they're not getting access to a provider for whatever reason, we would expand the hours into the evening or on Saturdays. But yes, security would be there. We'd have security.
How many on staff?
So we're going to have 26 exam rooms, probably anywhere from 18 to 25 staff members there per day.
If my mind recall me right, I think, council went over to one of your ground ribbon cuttings. Where was that at?
That was at the Yolep Bonet Center. That's on 5867 Okeechobee Boulevard, right off Okeechobee and the Turnpike. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I remember. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I remember now.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
I don't have any questions, but I would like to say I'm glad you all are coming in. We need more healthcare here in Riviera Beach, and I think this is gonna work well for the city.
Thank you very much.
Again, I think it's a great project. Again, like the constituent said, that it's gonna be a great project to have in. To make sure we keep people healthy, like you stated earlier with the statistics about people being able to get service or being not having anywhere to go to be able to get service, and now being able to have that and be able to have some preventative. What I can say about the as our concerns was the safety for putting something on the north side that was right next to McDonald's. I definitely would advise anything that would encourage to go around to the sidewalk and then come into McDonald's if that's the case, because you do not want to walk through. And I think that's the thing they were saying, because that would be the drive-through part of McDonald's. And I know, for example, when I get my food, I'm happy. I hit the gas and take off. I'm not looking, right? And if someone is coming to the entrance of McDonald's, more likely someone is going to get hit. So not only they're going to be a worker for you, they're also going to be a patient. So we don't want that situation to happen. So if you can, please put something there that's going to make someone detour around to be able to do that, to be safe. Because if not, someone eventually is going to get hit, and then may possibly put up a lawsuit between yourself or the city.
And that's a good point. But as you see, we're on a raised, we're elevated. So in order to be able to get out of the sidewalk where those storefronts are, you need to go down the steps and into the sidewalk. So you'll be able to see that a car is coming before you actually get to the sidewalk.
Okay.
Just one question, Mr. Chair. How many doctors you have on staff?
So currently, we have about 32 doctors on staff now.
32?
At our existing sites, not here. No.
okay.
Here, this will have anywhere from 8 to 10 providers at capacity. We're gonna have psychiatry, behavioral health, I said pharmacy, dentistry, lab, and we're gonna do mammography here as well.
Okay. Well, I hate to tell you this, you're not gonna stop my Happy Meals. I just have to get my Happy Meal and I have to come see you. I'm kidding.
Maybe that's why she was stressing the wall. She was on the wall.
We'll try.
I'm going to McDonald's.
We'll try, Ms. Shepherd.
I got a health scare, so
We're gonna keep fighting the demons.
I'm away from those, but I do get the urge now, so.
Good evening. I don't want to prolong the night. It's already 9 o'clock, but thank you for coming. There's an area you mentioned currently, because I was off last Friday and I was coming through this corridor, and there's a brown building, a 2-story building on the opposite side of the street. And it was in the morning, and noticed there was a line outside. Is that building currently somewhere that these type of services are being provided? It's right next to, it's like, where the Goodwill is, there's that little flat building, I'm not sure what it is, and then right next to that, it's a 2-story brown building.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure, but what I could tell you is we surveyed the area, and when a federally qualified health center looks to open a new site, we study what's called the UDS mapper. So we try to find out how many residents live in the area that are of low income, that are not penetrating the federally qualified health care system. And so we, at the time, saw that there were about 33,000 eligible residents that are not using it. Of those 33,000, we're currently at Found Care all the way down on Congress serving 9,000. So we're seeing a lot of residents from Riviera Beach already. So there's still a need. And the good thing about our site is that it's comprehensive. When you go here, you can see the dentist, you can go to the pharmacy, you can get a PAPS, like you can do everything in that center. So we're not duplicating any service that's in the immediate area.
Gotcha. And the other thing is you currently have a mobile unit that comes to Riviera Beach. So once this center opens, which I'm pretty sure it will because I'm definitely for it, what's going to happen with the mobile unit?
It's a really good question. So the folks that have been kind enough to help us along with this project wanted to start the services right away. So we got our mobile unit. They helped us get a mobile unit, and we're moving it around. For now, the intent is to continue to use it, to continue to raise awareness. Once we open this, we feel pretty confident folks are going to much rather get their health care in the building than in the mobile unit. But we continue to use it to raise awareness in the community about the importance of preventative health.
Great, great. Two suggestions. So you mentioned students coming in. We do have, Inlet Grove that has a LPN coursework there. So that would probably be a good partnership to have those students come in and maybe get some clinical. I mean, I'm not in the nursing field, it's not my forte, but just a good community partner with Inlet with their LPN program for their students. And then the other thing with the centers, the shared space that are going to be available for the city, and I'm, saying this on record for staff as well, maybe think about a business that promotes healthy eating or something like a vegetable market or something, because we do live in a food desert as well here in Riviera Beach. So, and that would kind of help because too, it is next to McDonald's, but a little McDonald's every now and then is not bad. But maybe that would be an option for the city to look into, some type of vegetable market or fresh vegetables or something to that effect. But thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Sermon,
Yes, sir.
do you leave the abandonment, in the plat of this? Is the plat left off, or do you want to include it?
For the plat for the item? Yes, we,
Excuse me. The plat is included in the.
yes, so
document.
our staff reports are
Not-
always comprehensive. We always put everything that an applicant has submitted in there. However, on the agenda, we did not put the plat on there. It's not ready. We expect it hopefully at the next meeting, but we want to make sure that it's been thoroughly reviewed internally and by our third-party plat reviewer before we bring it before the board.
Okay, just want to clear that up.
Yes.
David, do we have any public comments on this project?
7C. Ms. Brandy Davis, Walsimo.
You're going to hear from me on all of these projects that affect the geography, and I just want to say, really support the project. We haven't really grown in that area because we just launched, so we don't have members that are within that general area, but as we grow, we will definitely tell them about your services and what you're doing, and it aligns with what we're trying to do with community health, and we think that it would be a great addition to Riviera Beach, so thank you.
Thank you.
That's it, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Rosari, thank you and welcome to Riviera Beach. We appreciate you coming in. Now, we're going to take one at a time. Ms. Davidson already read into the record C, which is approving application LU 230004. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Anthony Brown,
Yes.
Renee Burgess,
Yes.
James Gallen,
Yes.
Margaret Shepherd,
Yeah.
William Wiley,
Yes.
Frank Fernandez.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Would you please read D into the record?
Item 7D, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving an application ZA-23-0007 from Found Cure Inc., applicant, requesting a zoning map amendment from downtown residential district zoning designation and a single-family dwelling zoning district, RS6, to rezone the western portion of the subject property to a downtown general zoning designation located at 3501 Broadway, property control numbers 5643422830, 001, 0010, and 5643422800, 001, 0160, and providing for an effective date and for other purposes.
Thank you. Do I have a motion approving application ZA 230007 as read into the record by Ms. Davidson?
So moved.
Anthony Brown,
Yes.
Renee Burgess,
Yes.
James Gallen,
Yes.
Margaret Shepherd,
Yes.
William Wiley,
Yes.
Frank Fernandez.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Chairman,
Yes.
I have a question on the abandonment. I see one little thing I'm not quite comfortable with. So I don't know what you want to do about it. There's something on it that's not, I don't think it's quite right.
On the D that we just voted?
On the, no. The
Oh,
one
on
you're coming
E.
up to, yes.
Okay, Mr. Sermons, can you figure out what's wrong with E? If it's a typo or anything we can fix?
I don't think it's anything he can fix.
Okay,
here.
what is the problem? Would you explain to Mr. Sermons?
It's on the abandonment application.
Yes, it's a bearing on distance, which I believe is incorrect. I mean, you could, since you're doing the plat later on, maybe you could just include the abandonment with it.
Oh, and what aspect of the abandonment it appears to be incorrect?
It is on the drawing itself, on the west side of the abandonment, where it says north 01 24 28 east. It appears that it should be along the east right away of that roadway, Avenue E.
If I may, I'll bring up the abandonment image to make sure I'm looking at the same thing. Okay, if you could make that comment one more time, Mr. Board Member. You
Yes,
said on the
west side.
On the west side?
Of the abandonment.
Uh-huh.
North 01 24 28 east. Yeah, right there.
Yes.
And it seems as if that's supposed to be one straight line along those lots. But if you look up top, up the bearing above that, right there, you see north 01 46 37 west.
This number here?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a different number. 124 28 146 37. It appears that there's something not correct about it. It's almost a one straight line along the roadway. Line along the roadway should be straight.
Okay.
Straight down.
And so that this measurement, you're saying it should be the entire length of that block?
It appears it needs to be checked, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Okay, and if it's okay, I will get with the applicant and their surveyor to
Sure.
And make sure we connect them with you to make sure the concern there is addressed on this one. And if it's okay, we can include that as a condition of this moving forward to make sure that that is addressed.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
So we'll add that as a condition to E.
I believe that would be appropriate. Yes.
Correct. Ms. Davidson, can we read E into the record?
Item 7E, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving a request from Foundcare Inc., applicant, requesting abandonment AB 23-0002 of the following right-of-way segment. The plus minus 30 foot by plus minus 200 132.09 foot street right-of-way, 35th Street, approximately plus minus 6,960.32 square feet in area that bisects the property located at 3501 Broadway in Riviera Beach, right-of-way dedication of 35th Street and along Avenue E in Riviera Beach, Florida. Attachment A, providing for an effective date and for other purposes.
Need a motion to approve abandonment AB 23-0002 with the corrections required. Mrs. Sermon's aware of what the corrections, along with the applicant.
If it's okay, I'll make sure we have a follow-up conversation with Board Member Brown to ensure that the concerns are clear and addressed.
So that will be a condition to our approval.
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Anthony Brown,
Yes.
Renee Burgess,
Yes.
James Gallen,
Yes.
Margaret Shepherd,
Yes.
William Wiley,
Yes.
Frank Fernandez.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Please read into the record F.
Item 7F. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving site plan application number SP-23-0024 to allow a plus minus 20,000 square foot two-story building, which includes a plus minus 15,000 square foot health center, plus minus 2,500 square foot restaurant with outdoor seating, and a plus minus 2,500 square foot office space. The subject property is located at 3501 Broadway, along the Broadway corridor, spanning between West 37th Street and West 34th Street, providing for an effective date and for other purposes.
I have a motion to approve site plan application number SP-23-0024.
So moved.
Anthony Brown,
Yes.
Renee Burgess,
Yes.
James Gallen,
Yes.
Margaret Shepherd,
Yes.
William Wiley,
Yes.
Frank Fernandez.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Thanks again and welcome. Workshop items, Mr.
None, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, before you leave, Mrs. Burgess brought up a very good point. Again, thank you for especially providing for our community. But also, I'm a school teacher here, and I deal with a lot of principals and APs who have programs, as far as nursing programs for the kids, the graduating seniors who want to do internships or actually learn from some professionals of how to get into their career or get into their job. So if possible, please, if you have a card or something that you can get in, that you can give me to where I can get in contact with the principal of that school, and I personally know two of the APs that are there, to where I can actually get them to be able to at least talk to you. So in the future, we'll be able to set up some kind of programs with either Palm Beach Lakes or Inlet Grove to be able to assist in our children being able to be guided in their career accordingly.
It's one of the most important parts of our mission is to get the kids to aspire to do medical services so they can bring things back to their community. So absolutely.
Thank you. So before you leave, please let me get a card. Yes, sir.
Do you have a card, you said? I love one. Thank
And
you.
anyone you know looking for healthcare, send them my way, please.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks again.
You're a jewel. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Davidson, while he hands out the cards, do we have any workshop items?
None, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Do we have any public comments?
None, Mr. Chair.
Staff updates?
Yes. Mr. Chair, for the comprehensive plan update, I did want to provide a brief report on behalf of staff. In the next 30 to 90 days, our consulting firm who is working on the comp plan will be wrapping up the drafts, and that will be the draft goals, policies, and objectives of the comp plan, as well as the draft text of each element. And we will enter a phase that we would call technical review. So staff and the planning and zoning board, we would all have those documents and provide as many markups and comments and suggestions or concerns as necessary to turn that back over to the consultant to make sure that draft is reflective of the input of all persons on staff and the planning and zoning board. So we expect that to take place over the next 90 days as the next phase. They have assured us that we will be having that documentation very soon, and we'll get it to you as soon as we do. After that would be the phase after we provided that feedback and the consultants have incorporated it. We would go into the public feedback stage. At that time, we want the public and as many community members as possible to do the same thing, to see those draft documents and provide any comments or concerns or anything that they believe may be missing from those documents that we need to make sure is captured in our next 20 plus year comprehensive plan. For the public feedback portion, our thoughts are to take chunks of it at a time. There's multiple elements, 8 or 9 elements of it, and giving someone the entire document at one time may limit their ability to really dissect and delve into it. So our thoughts on strategy is to take 2 or 3 elements at a time and kind of workshop them with the public. We are interested in using some of the dates for the planning and zoning board meetings. We have a 2 date schedule per month. As of lately, we've only been using 1 due to staff constraints, but that second meeting can be a workshop for 2 or 3 elements of the comp plan, and we can invite the public and have them come in and we can talk about what's in it and get their feedback and your feedback as well. And once we've done that through the entire plan, again, incorporate all that feedback and then begin preparing the document for an actual vote to move forward through the adoption process. That's what we've discussed as, of course, the drafting and technical review stage. We're going to make sure that happens, but when it's ready to receive review from the public, that was the staff thoughts on our strategy to move forward if it pleases the board.
Thank you. Correspondence, Mr. Davidson?
I'm sorry, one more thing.
Okay.
Under staff updates, if there's no comments on the comp plan strategy moving forward, we will move forward in that manner. The other thing is the planning and zoning board ordinance. At the last council meeting, the city council did approve the ordinance that restructured the planning and zoning board. So what we will do is at the coming city council meeting next week, bring forth the reappointment item so that anyone on the board whose terms have expired can be reappointed, and that reorganization will begin to take effect. Any of those of you who are affected by it, I believe the council person whose district you represent has made contact with you. So that's just an update that the ordinance has been adopted, and the reappointment would take place next week, and we would move forward from there.
You know who's up for reappointment on the board?
Yola.
Everyone except you, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Chair.
Just checking. I just
We all are.
Now, they also vote for a budget increase for our salaries, bonuses,
I've looked into, I'm putting
training
that
in
in my
like Puerto
notes.
Rico, the Caribbean somewhere. I try to keep trying to don't listen anyway. Do we have anything else? I know our next meeting is February the 8th, 2024.
We are contemplating, and I apologize for the typo here. Right now, we are targeting February 22nd due to some conflicts for the 8th.
February 22nd.
Yes, that's
So
correct.
nothing until then.
That's correct.
Perfect.
Mr. Chair, may I go on record by saying thank you, Mr. Sherman, for running a very fine ship. Since you've been in effect, we have had routine meetings, and I appreciate your staff, Simone Pothang. She has to call me, remind me of that day. And to my other girl, I call her my girl, thank you. I know I'm going to eat well when she's here. And I just thank you for your kindness when she comes to sort me out for my daughter, because I am computer illiterate. So it's a pleasure to have her come out in the storm to make sure I get these documents. And I just want to go on record by saying thank you to the both of you for keeping up with me. I appreciate it. I don't take it light, Mr. Sherman. I really don't. Thank you again.
And if I may, I just want to thank my staff. We have went through some changes recently, but the team is really coming together to make sure we host some quality meetings. And each time I do believe we get more and more efficient at what's taking place here. And also outside legal counsel, Ms. Early. So thank you so
Counsel here.
much.
Yes, she's excellent. Thank you.
That's all from staff, Mr. Chair.
If there's nothing else, it's
I have one
9:23.
quick thing, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to wish a happy Founder's Day to the members of my sorority in Riviera Beach, Theta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Happy 104 years on January 16th. That's all I have. Thank you.
And also, again, like I said, don't mean to hold everyone here, but again, a group called Alpha Star Education that actually did work over the city library for the past year is now having another program again that starts on Saturday. So if you have a child that wishes to learn how to pass the ACT testing, this is something Mrs. Marcia Kelly is actually she's holding, and Mr. Darren Studstill is actually providing the location to be able to have it to where at least 30 to 40 kids will be able to come into this program and be able to learn how to pass the ACT, the SAT, and then any kind of test to be able to get into either a better college or either to get into college altogether. So if anyone has a child that wants any assistance in that, please hit me up on Facebook or give me a call and let me know. And I can tell you where your kid can be at for the next 6 weeks, because I think the next ACT test will be in February. So for the next 5 weeks, we will be having this class for the kids. And it's approximately 2-hour class for reading, and it's a 2-hour class for math. And then we're going to provide food. We have breakfast for them. And then we're also going to have snacks for them at the end of the day. And if I'm correct, Tanya Rich will be providing some transportation in that area to be able to have kids be able to come in and be able to take them back to a safe location and everything. So again, if you know anyone in that that needs that help, again, Mrs. Marcia Kelly is the person who's running the program. Darren Studstill will be the person who's providing the location, and we will be assisting these kids in becoming more successful in school. Well, Mr. Sermon, by the way, I want to say this, and I didn't want to be, I guess the appropriate term, I don't want to be rude, but with what we have going on, and I know Ms. Burgess just spoke on how busy this corridor is going to be, and being more proactive about it, because knowing that we're going to have new buildings and new everything coming up on Broadway, and knowing that the area, far as not sewage, but drainage, the drainage is something that should have been taken care of a long time ago, especially we were talking about putting a city hall, a brand new city hall there, and then having that situation there, and then now only having these problems, additional problems coming up with drainage. That should have been the first thing tackled as soon as we said we were going to put City Hall on Broadway, and knowing that we already had people as in residences and in businesses already complaining about something about the drainage. So this is something that should have been very proactive until waiting until the situation happens, and then now trying to put it together by piece by piece. I know you wasn't here when that happened or whatever. Like you said, you're doing an outstanding job. But from now on, dealing with Public Works, we can have them try to at least tackle that in the beginning now, rather than waiting until the end until people coming in and now being upset because they have things being pushed back because now we have these small problems that they have to deal with. And we don't want businesses and corporations not wanting to come to Riviera Beach because that'd be a reason why, okay, I just don't want to deal with it because it's all these small things we're dealing with. That's something that could have been fixed a long time ago.
Anything else? Okay, 9:27, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All agreed. Great meeting, guys, appreciate it.